Hello, welcome to Lemon Studios, where we talk anything and everything entertainment. I'm, of course, Lemon himself, Zeke Lemon, and this is my review for Squid Game Season 2. But before we get into that, let's get the house clean out of the way. Share them, leave a like, comment below, and let me know your thoughts on Squid Game Season 2. And, of course, hit that subscribe button as it helps me grow into my YouTube career. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, all that out of the way, let's get into the review, shall we? So, yeah, Squid Game Season 2, the sequel to the cultural phenomenon that really took the world by storm in 2021, is officially here. And we are getting Season 3 within June of this year of 2025. I was really looking forward to this. I thought Season 1 was absolutely spectacular. Like I said, the cultural impact that this had is definitely within pop culture, within the zeitgeist, especially with it not being like American being the main thing. Because usually, stuff that is from, other countries, they can still get big. I mean, we had some that are within that modern realm of it, but most things that are really relative to pop culture that is known worldwide are mainly from America. So it was really cool that we have this show here that's from another country that is within that upper echelon of TV shows and just, again, pop culture within general. And, the main criticism that I've seen within this television show is that it ended on a cliffhanger. And that, they just left too many things unanswered, blah, 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 blah. And my rebuttal to that is, because even though, I'm just like, yeah, no, there's still a lot to be desired, but that criticism will not last the test of time. It's a very now problem to have because, you're watching and then you have to wait. And especially with a Netflix who gives you everything and they dumped everything on you. You can binge watch it all the way through, which is still a model I just doesn't work anymore. When they first did it, it was great. It was fine. But I do think now is the time that they can go week to week, especially with a now, because by the time this came out, it is now January 12th. And I finished it on January 10th, and it came out on the 27th. I want to say, right? Like it was the Friday after Christmas, which means we would have been on episode 3 when the show was really starting to get cooking. And I think again, you would have just already made the biggest show in the world even bigger, because again, you're going week to week and like you get all these different theories and all the discourse that be happening online at work, at everything else. I just think it would have been much better, as opposed to, again, now, even though this is the biggest show in the world, I'm getting this out super late. I get this out maybe almost a month after the release date. I don't know how the viewership is going to be. I don't even know if there's still a demand for this. I just want to talk about it, which is why I am still doing it, because I finally got a time to finishing the show. But I still think they should have gone week to week. But even though, back to the main point that I was making, where everyone was saying, hey, it ended on a cliffhanger, that's not going to test the time, because when we get to June and the show finishes up for good, by the time they get to this point, they're going to be able to click play on the next episode. So again, it's a now problem to have. But I will also say this, that's just television. I think we got lost within this realm of television lately, where it just feels like it needs to have a beginning, a middle, and end. And I feel like that's only for movies. It's really only for movies that need to do that. Television shows, your whole business model needs to be around until you're about to wrap up, that you want people to come back the next season. So therefore, yeah, you end on a cliffhanger. A lot of TV shows did this before Netflix. Still TV shows do this after Netflix. I mean, hell, Game of Thrones season 1 ended on a huge cliffhanger. And then, it got people buzzing to get to season 2. House of the Dragon recently, I would say season 1 ended on a bit of a cliffhanger. Yeah, it was a somewhat of a complete story, but there was something there for you to be like, ooh, I need to make sure I tune in to season 2. And so on and so forth. We can go all day within all that. But I would also say I do think this is a realm of like a House of the Dragon. This is a realm of like a season 1 where, yeah, there is a lot to be desired at the end of this season. I'm not discrediting that. But I do think this did tell a story. You just have a difference of who was the main protagonist throughout the show. Because, yeah, Gihan is the one that we follow throughout all of season 1, and he's our eyes on episode 1 and episode 2, who's trying to find his way back to the games. Because I don't think it was just for a joke that there is a character named Thanos with purple hair and has the Infinity Stones on his fingers, who is all about the death. I don't think that was just for a joke. It was funny, and boy, did I hate that guy, and I couldn't wait for him to get his comeuppance, which he did. It was kind of abrupt, but it is what it is that this was Infinity War this season, where I do think the main Protagonist, the story that we were following, was the front man, the guy who was in the black mask, and now he's coming out to play a part of the game, and now he is the new number one, and he's getting with Gi-hun, and this whole show is surrounded by this debate. And again, once we got to the ending, and that's the one that's most fresh in my mind, again, binge watching everything, right? I watched the first 3, I had a little bit of a break, and then I watched episode 4 on the 10th, and I couldn't stop. It was so good after episode 4. But yeah, when we get to the ending and we have this big action sequence, I can see why Gi-hun got to that. I don't necessarily got why he said, yeah, some people gotta die, because again, that's his whole motive. Like, look, people don't need to die for this. But the debate between them the whole entire way through is that, look, you need to stop the games. The games is not right. Well, the games will stop when people change. And it also goes back to this scene that happens in episode 1, because it becomes really prevalent throughout the whole entire show. Because, the choice to have them vote after every single game, whether they stop and just split the money, is a very interesting one. It kind of hurts it a little bit, but I'll get more into that when I actually get to talk about it. But, in episode 1 of season 2, at least I do believe it was episode 1, where we have the salesman, right? And he's recruiting people for the game. And then he gets done, and then he buys a bunch of lottery tickets, and he buys a bunch of bread. And he goes to the homeless, and he gives them a choice. Look, you can get bread, or you can have a chance to win some money. What do you want to do? And all of them choose the lottery, and then he dismantles the bread in front of it. In front of them, because nope, you had your choice to have guaranteed bread, but you kept choosing to go more. And that's where the debate comes in, is that people are always going to want more no matter what, even if you give them a way out. It's kind of prevalent within season 1 as well, where, they all voted to leave. They left, and then they still came back because they need the money. This season, however, instead of going, look, you can leave, but you lose your chance at the money. Now you're going to vote after every single game. If you choose to, the game will end. That's it, ball game. And we will split the money among the survivors, which is what Gi-hun wanted, instead of how it usually goes, where only one person can win in season 1. Very interesting concept. I do think it does hurt, the stakes of it, because granted, season 1, the shock that everyone's dying, the surprise, if you will, it is gone once you get to season 2. So us as an audience is kind of immune to that, absolutely. But I still kind of wish that the people within the game felt it a little bit more. Like, I just felt like it was just an afterthought, if you will, which was probably by design. But I don't know, I kind of would just like more people to be like, man, people are dying. And we do have that throughout the season, don't get me wrong, but I just kind of wish I wanted it a little bit more, because again, it just felt so immune as we got through, after we got done through the second game, I want to say, which was when we were all in the groups. As soon as we got past after that, because I like the whole point of it, they win and, they cheer, and then you just hear the gunshots of the other people dying when they get to the realization of it. But within the whole group, I just wanted that a little bit more. But, it was just one of those things where, that whole debate of, okay, now we're going to vote, and everyone kept choosing to keep going. Just one more game. Just one more game. Just one more game. Just one more game. Let's get the pot a little bit more. And again, that goes back to the front man's point of the debate of, like, the games will stop when people change. And he's showing multiple times that people won't change. And you see Gi-hun getting defeated every single time. And, it's this build up to the ending where, the front man's going, look, these are the choices of your actions for what you tried to do, because you tried to push the envelope through, and now your best friend is dead. And that's where the ending comes in, because again, the front man won. The front man won the debate of between him and Gi-hun. Now, how does this continue on within the games? Because again, they kept it fresh, because you couldn't just do Squid Game again. You couldn't just do, hey, the same games. You kept red light, green light, because that was so iconic. I really thought they'll keep the cookie game too as well, because again, those were like the 2 main ones. And they teased it a little bit here, but for the most part, after red light, green light, it's all brand new games. And again, it was just more intimate within it. Like, sure, the cookie game had the guys shooting them, but then we had the glass game in season 1 as well, where, the people in the mask didn't have any effect on that whatsoever. They would just fall and, boom, they would die. And then, there was also the tug of rope game and all that. This one, they mess up, the people will shoot them. That'll be it. The mask people got a storyline within this as well, with number 11 being the helm at that. I liked it. I'm kind of being wait and see on that one as well. But really, if it wasn't with Gi-hun or the front man within it, I wasn't as invested within it. I was invested within, the front man's brother's storyline, the cops, where, he was trying to find the island and all that. I was really invested in that in the beginning on. But once they find the tracker, it really takes a back seat for the most part too, even to the point where when we will cut back to them in other episodes, like, oh yeah, we have that going on. But as I'll be watching those scenes, I'll be like, let's get back to the game. Let's get back to the game. Let's get back to the game. So yeah, overall, is this as good as season 1? No. But I also think it's unfair to say it has to top season 1 in order to justify its existence. I also think, this may be part of a story, but I do think this was a beginning, middle, and end. If you take it that he, as the front man, is the main character within this story, as opposed to Gi-hun, where I think now we'll get back to Gi-hun when we get to season 3. I also think season 1 was much more clear and more linear, and it was much more simpler. This season was huge. In season 1, where I give season 2 more credit, is that, in season 1, we only really had our main 3 good guys that we followed all the way through, and we knew they would make it to the end. And it's the same with the bad guys as well. We know these people are going to make it on. Everyone else is kind of just making up the numbers, right? Well, in this season, which again justifies the season 3, there was a lot more people that I was like, ooh, I kind of want you to make it. Ooh, I want you to make it. I love the mom and the son dynamic quite a bit, where, I could see why the son would be struggling and be like, no, we need to keep going so I can end this debt. But it's also one of those things where I'm just like, well, even if you get out, I think you're going to just waste it all to gamble it some more. And the mom is just trying to save it. Like, the 2 girls that have joined the underdog club with them as well. Where, the mom is trying to understand, this woman who's going through a transformation. And then, the pregnant girl, really liked her as well. And there was just a bunch more. Even the guy who did the whole Bitcoin thing. I really thought that he was going to be one of the villains, but as he grew, I started to like him too. The guy who was getting bullied by Thanos started to come around to him as well. I even enjoyed watching Thanos. He was a guy that was fun to hate. He was a guy who was really, really fun to hate, and I wish he just had a much bigger death scene and, had more of an impact instead of it coming from out of nowhere. But still, very, very good stuff overall. I think the cast of characters overall, minus Thanos, the villains could have been used a little bit better within the game. The villains within the game, like the old man, is very one note. The girl that's into witchcraft, she's a little one note too. I think all the villains from season 1 are a little bit stronger, but still a much stronger ensemble in season 2 than I would say within season 1. But besides that, I think the story for season 1 was better than season 2. But again, we'll see how season 3 concludes it. But overall, still very, very enjoyable. Have you had a chance to see it? Comment below, let me know your thoughts on it. Leave a like if you made it this far within the review. I do greatly appreciate it. And of course, hit that subscribe button as we have more content heading your way on this channel as well. And until next time, guys, I'll see you here at Limit Studios.